As far as I can see, nutrition is just real food, gives you real results when done consistently over time. Hi there, Dietitian Tracy here, and I am coming at you with a meal prep video. And before I dive into just kind of showing you what I do to get ready for the week and make my life easier, I want to explain what I'm making and my thought process behind, taking a little bit of time on a Sunday or a Saturday to get some meals prepped ahead. The week does not go perfect. These meals do not go perfect, but at least if there's something in the fridge that's ready that I know has protein, some fiber, and is satisfying, can keep my energy levels stable, then that is a win for me. I want the video really to be about just taking you through it and explaining my thought process of why I make what I make, or why I batch prep certain things versus like making meals all ready to go. I'm not like a person that's getting all of those meal prep containers ready to go and then it's meal by meal by meal. I'm just not in that phase of life. Sure, maybe a day may come where that has to be reality, but right now it's not. I think it's the most important thing that I want you as a viewer to get out of this video is kind of understanding like what's realistic versus what's not. And for me, what's extremely realistic is finding at least like a carb, a protein, and some fiber. So usually like a batch prep of veggies that could be used in like a Mod Podge meal. That way it has is very satisfying with nutrients, keeps you full. And also this is for kind of showing you that eating healthy, so like my view of healthy is, you're prioritizing proteins, whole quality sources of proteins, prioritizing whole foods, quality carbohydrates, getting in some fiber, and really focus on a well-rounded nutrition, focusing on your earthly foods, those whole foods most of the time. So like 90% of the time, it tunes the dial a little bit, like a 90-10 principle, where there may be 10% of the time, maybe you're having a meal out, or you have a meal that doesn't necessarily have all of the colors on the plate, and that's okay when you do the best you can. And I like to say, take a zoom out perspective on your week when you're meal prepping. Make sure that you have things that are ready to go. It doesn't have to take 3-4 hours. It can literally be under an hour, and that's typically what this stuff takes me as well. But yeah, let me show you what I am making for this week. Some of these meals might seem a little different to you, but it's what I've been vibing with, and just kind of finding my own flow in the foods that make me feel the best, that I understand with like nutrition related knowledge and backed information that, I'm in it for health and longevity. So I'm not in it for super extremes. I'm in it for just kind of learning as you go. And yeah, can be applied to nutrition as well. So before I even like start meal prepping, I have the oven preheating. I'm going to be making a very quick sheet pan meal. It's chicken, potatoes, and some broccoli. You guys, like, it is nothing fancy, but it's going to get the job done for this week. And I'm going to show you because you don't have to get so fancy with this stuff. I also am gonna prep probably, I think, like 8 boiled eggs for breakfast bowls this week. My breakfast bowls are gonna be, ground beef patties. So I gotta make some ground beef patties, a couple boiled eggs, some blueberries, and probably some avocado in there, kind of like a Mod Podge bowl. But I have been really, really loving that, and I go through phases with it, so I think that'll be part of it. I also do like things like overnight oats if I'm feeling that and I really need some extra fuel for a post run. If I run in the morning, a little extra carbohydrate to support that. And yeah, like that's kind of my focus for this week. So you can also see here, I'm posting these up right here, what I plan to have as like some guidance throughout the week. The other thing for lunches, so lunches are something where I'm thinking, what do I already have on hand? So I'm gonna show you, like, I already have some chicken breasts made up in batch prepped, made that in the crock pot. So I'm probably gonna add some like buffalo sauce or like some Frank's hot sauce to it, and then maybe a couple dollops of like cottage cheese or Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt. Make like a buffalo chicken bowl, and I don't have any like greens on hand, so I might just like pair it with some green beans and call it that. It sounds weird, but like, or if I end up going to the store and grabbing some spring mix or lettuce, I might Mod Podge that bowl. And as a carb, probably just with rice, and usually I batch prep rice. And so with the rice is like in a rice cooker and batch prep. I don't store it in here always, but for some reason, like we ended up doing that last night when we were making rice, and you know, it is what it is. We're not perfect over here. Now for dinners. I'm planning it to be around like ground beef, sweet potato, avocado, the cottage cheese, like that viral beef bowl. We really have made those for like ever since, like even before it kind of came out. And so it's nice to be able to see that it's viral now, and it's just really like whole foods, and it's sweet potato, ground beef, avocado, cottage cheese, and like honey drizzled over it. So you get a lot of satisfactory, like different sensories, different textures, flavors in there, and you're also fueling properly. And then the other dinner option is going to be the meal that I'm prepping, the sheet pan meal, chicken breast potatoes, and some green beans. If I want some extra fats, probably butter or avocados. I really don't get any more fancy than that. And then the third option is if we kind of get tired of those two options, burger bowls. And burger bowls are so easy. It's just like taking a hamburger that you'd have like lettuce, tomato, onion, pickle on there, and just throw that in a bowl and kind of disassemble it. And then I'll do like potato wedges or something, because I did buy like sweet potatoes from Costco, and so that could really help. Snack that I'm mainly focused on this week is probably like apples and PB and maybe some yogurt, like nothing too fancy. But I do want to show you this though, we always have like ground beef prepped, ready to go in the fridge, and it just works for us. It's so much easier. Or you could batch prep like this whole thing. We usually like make up this whole thing, ground it up. You could also make this whole thing and then freeze it. Like some people freeze seasoned beef or taco seasoned beef, and then you know, when you have a night where you're like, I really don't want to cook, but hey, you got some cooked meat in the freezer, that's the next best option for that protein source. Let's see. Oh, also probably gonna dice up some red onion to have in various dishes and add flavor. So that's nothing too fancy. So yeah, I mean, that's basically it. And then we have things like bananas, grapes, strawberries, blueberries in the fridge, freezer that we can snack on. I do have some kiwi that we still have left over. And I really like to keep my carbs focused really on potatoes, oats, fruit, rice, just a combination of that, and then sourdough. I do make my own sourdough, but I know like Trader Joe's and Aldi have a pretty good sourdough too. So love that for a choice. And then right here is really what I'm going to use for the sheet pan meal. This is just, I bought a Costco value size bag of chicken, about 25 bucks, and it gets you a lot of chicken. And so if you are looking to save money, what I'm showing you is typically bought in bulk. So the beef, the chicken, the potatoes, and cottage cheese. So we usually get a big thing like this of cottage cheese at Costco, and that really lasts us a long time, and then it's cheaper per serving if you get it. If you find things you're eating consistently over time, that's what it is. And you can see these are very simple ingredients, nothing elaborate. I mean, we focus on simplicity in this household because that's what we both believe in. So yeah, I mean, it's all about making it easier on yourself. And if you're balling on a budget, which I feel like everyone is at some point, especially with groceries, with how expensive they are these days, look at the proteins, the carbs that you eat consistently over time. Can you buy those in bulk? We also have bought this blend here. This is the Costco size value of the Normandy blend. And this is a really great option too to kind of get you some veggies roasted on the sheet pan. And I just roast a bunch of these up, and then you can add them to various meals throughout the week. It doesn't have to be specific meals, but it's what it is. So yeah, I mean, when you're shopping on a budget, do what you can, do the best quality that you can with the budget that you have, make a monthly budget, and then usually what I do is I take that monthly budget and I split it up week by week. So like, let's say it's, let's just say it's $600 for the month. Let's just say it's that. Then I'm like, okay, mathematically, 150 a week. Cap it at 150 a week, 150 a week, 150 a week. So then you stay within budget and you know what you're working with. Do a pantry fridge inventory before you even go to the grocery store so you're not buying doubles all the time. But I typically have like green beans and pinto beans, black beans in the cupboard so that I can add that to a meal. I do have like chickpea pasta, you know, those things that can make a really easy meal that don't cost much and can just be really shelf stable. But yep, that's what I have, but I'm going to show you the sheet pan meal. It is not going to take much time at all, so let's go on and make it. Alrighty friends, so first off I'm getting on some potatoes that I had already chopped up the day before and pre-seasoned with some oil, garlic powder, onion powder, some paprika, nothing too fancy. I just put this on a parchment piece of paper because there is some moisture on the potatoes, so the parchment paper helps them cook thoroughly but also doesn't make them get all soggy. And then as you can see here, I have repeated this so many times in the video, but my meals are not elaborate. They are very simple and to the point. And so I'm adding some broccoli. As you can see, these are from Aldi. Love my Aldi Bay. So good. And I'm just throwing that on there. And then I didn't videotape me putting seasoning on, but I do put seasoning on the broccoli. Put that in the oven for 375 and let her cook. And for this, I didn't have room on the pan. I guess I didn't. I put too much of the potatoes on the pan. So again, very realistic little meal prep video for you guys. But I'm adding the chicken breast that I had marinated the day before, and I'm putting that into a glass baking dish so that I can also put that in the oven at 375. And I'm going to roast all of this and bake all this at 375 for about, I would say, 30-35 minutes, depending on your oven and how fast that cooks. So yeah. In the meantime, while that stuff is cooking in the oven, I'm getting some water ready to get boiled up to boil some eggs. And while the water is heating up, I'm also getting the ground beef patties prepared, just throwing a package of that ground beef that I bought from Costco, and I also add salt and pepper, and I just ran out of garlic powder, onion powder, so usually I would put that in. Kind of laughing on the other end here because this is so real. Usually I have garlic powder, onion powder on hand, but of course I forgot to add that to the grocery list, and imperfect action over here. So I'm just mashing this up with my hand. Seriously, it is the easiest method. It might gross some people out. It used to, me too, but you know, gotta do what you gotta do. Just mix it up. It's really easy. Then I actually make these up into some patties, so I have to go grab a plate, get that ready, and then I start just making some regular size patties, probably smaller than like a hamburger bun, probably a couple ounces, maybe 1 to 2 ounce patties, and then I add them to my breakfast bowl. Speeding this up for you because you probably don't want to watch me just make up probably 10 of these patties. So there you go. Like, this is really easy, using it as like a breakfast sausage, but it's ground beef. So in the meantime, I'm gonna get the pan heated up. While that's going, I'm also checking what's in the oven, make sure that's cooking really good, and then I'm gonna add the eggs to the water since it is now boiling. Quick tip for you guys, make sure the water is at its peak boiling point before adding the eggs in. It'll make it for an easier peel afterwards. So then as those are boiling, I'm also throwing in the hamburger patties that I had made up into the pan to let them cook. And you can tell I'm doing this all at the same time while the big stuff is in the oven so that I'm not taking forever in a day to make all this. Something that's really helped me too, like cut down on time, is just to do the dishes while I'm prepping. So if things are cooking and I can kind of take my eye off it for a bit, I wash some dishes in the meantime so I don't have a ton of cleanup afterwards, maximizing the time while everything's cooking. As another breakfast idea, I do make some overnight oats, and I just use regular oats. Rolled oats work best. Then I use the BPN, Bare Performance Nutrition Whey protein, and I just use vanilla for these, just pretty standard. So I add a scoop of that, and then I'll stir that around, and then I do add milk and some water if need be to make it more of a liquid consistency. You don't want it too runny, but also not too thick. So it varies depending on what you want. You can add a little bit more liquid if you like the overnight oats a little bit more runnier. But if not, you can also just not add as much liquid. And so there'll be more of this like concrete texture in the morning. Not hard to eat, but it's a better consistency. Some people just prefer it that way. So I do add like a scoop of peanut butter here. I'm using Aldi brand, using that up. Usually I like to go for the Costco natural PB without all the additives, but you know, again, very realistic over here. Add that in for some fat and a little extra protein into that meal. You can also just add this on top if you don't want to mix it in. That's always an option. And then I do like to add some coconut flakes and blueberries, as you can see there. Always gotta take a taste of the spoon, you know. And so I'm adding coconut flakes, adding about a pinch of those, tablespoon or so, and then some blueberries for a little extra fiber, and it's nice to get a little blueberry in that bite. But as you can see there, super easy, super chill, nothing too crazy. Can take you like 5 minutes, and then I make like 3 to 4 of those up for the week. Throw them in the fridge overnight, and you got yourself overnight oats. So as I wrap up today's video and this little meal prep, taking you through it, just talking you through it, I have the overnight oats made. I have boiled eggs are ready to go. The chicken and the potatoes and broccoli are finishing up in the oven. The ground beef patties are also finishing up in the stove. And I have like fruits and some vegetables, things like that for the week ahead. And we'll probably prep some more batch prepped ground beef probably in a few days after we get through what we already have. So I hope that you gathered something from this video, in this meal prep video. And I'm really trying to figure it out for myself and my practice for the information I share about nutrition. But I personally am finding in my own journey that in today's world, there's a lot of zoom in perspectives. This one food causes this one food causes that. And it's really challenging in my brain, in my educated nutrition brain, as a registered dietitian, of the fact that we take a zoom in perspective on like the one food or the one movement, the one thing that will change it all, but we don't really put emphasis on the focus of consistency, persistence, and trying to have variety, especially with your diet. Like right now with what I know in my education, you know, having oats in your diet, you can have like sourdough, you can have rice, you can have potatoes. You can also eat lots of varieties of vegetables, green, red, orange, and have your red meat too. So it's kind of finding this like balance for what you have been granted with your health and whatever fitness health journey you are currently on, that you take your health into your own hands. And if you find that you operate best eating a certain way, maybe that does work for you, and that's okay. But as far as I can see, nutrition is just real food, gives you real results when done consistently over time. There's no like huge cutting out certain food groups and going on from there, taking such extremes. So yeah, I hope this like enlightened you that even I, as a dietitian, am still figuring it out, even with all of the science and literature out there. Like, you have to get into your internal thoughts, beliefs of like, what do you stand by? What do you believe in? How, and you're your best science experiment. How do you feel best? Just try that out and be open to figuring that out for yourself, because I am on that journey as well, even as a dietitian, and it's okay. So I do add things like dairy, I do have red meat, but I also have chicken, fish, I have veggies, I have fruits, I have oats, I have peanut butter, I have all those things. And so I think true health and longevity come from a consistent effort put in for a long period of time. And you also have to conjoin with these nutrition habits like I had. So you have to pair that with consistent exercise, consistent getting some quality sleep, managing your stress. It's a very holistic view. So yeah, I know I went on a little kind of like soapbox there to end the video, but I think it's just such a big message that I want people to hear, that if you start taking your health seriously in a sense of focusing on variety, be curious, try things out, be consistent with focusing on real whole foods nutrition, and try not to go to too many extremes, the next diet or the next trend on TikTok or something. Figure it out for yourself. And you can try those things. You can try those trends and stuff. And let's say if it works for you, great. But I want you to really dial in and focus on how can you get in attunement with your own body and your own health, and what will make you happy at the end of the day, at the end of the week, when you look back. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope this meal prep video gave you some inspo on anything. It's nothing too fancy. Like I always say, I am very realistic over here, especially as a dietitian, that nutrition needs to be simplified. Focus on real food, get you some real results, and we will go from there. But other than that, stay strong, stay nourished, and I will see you in the next video.